Will you please help me give a warm welcome to Mr. Jonas Cain.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction and that warm welcome. It was exactly as I wrote it, by the way, so that was absolutely perfect. Are we all ready to have some fun today, yes? That's my favorite answer. You know, it's often said that presenters are supposed to start off with some sort of a joke. The idea is that it gets the crowd warmed up, but I've been listening backstage. I think you guys are pretty warmed up already, right? So I thought what we would do instead is we would start off with something that you might call perhaps an intellectual thought experiment. And it goes like this. Everyone go, ooh. Here's the idea. With a knot tied in the handkerchief, is it possible to get the knot out without me untying it? Is it possible? Well, of course it's possible. I'm a magician, right? But here's the idea. I've been doing this a lot. Some of my favorite answers is this. If the rule is I can't untie it, we just take a sharp pair of scissors and cut it off. That's one way. One of my other favorite answers, if the rule is that I can't untie it, I could just have someone else do it for me. There's more than one way to have a successful outcome. But again, I'm a magician. This is my idea. We use magic. That's the sound of magic. Watch close. Everyone go, yay! Now, every time I do this, people always say to me, they say Jonas, because that's my name. They say, Jonas, do it again. That was almost in unison. I was almost in unison. But I'm sorry, I can't do this again, because there's a rule in magic. Never do the same trick twice for the same audience. You know why that is, right? You would figure it out. It ruins the surprise, right? However, there is a loophole. I can do this again if I don't do it again. But I have someone else do it. Let's go over here. What's your name over here? Savio, come up here, Savio. Give Savio a nice big hand. Come right over here. Savio, where are you from?
Cypress, Texas.
Cypress, Texas. You came all the way from Cypress, Texas just to see me.
Yes, sir.
That's my favorite answer. Savio, you're going to take the handkerchief, one hand on each side. You're going to pull the knot nice and tight. Yep. Savio, hold the handkerchief up high. Take your right hand, wrap it around the knot, not too tight, but not too loose, and you're going to pull the knot right off. Pull it right off. You just have to tie a slip knot. It works every time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be telling some jokes today. However, most of them come straight out of this book. It's called Absurd Jokes. Have any of you ever read this book? Some of you have. Not many people have. I wrote it. This is filled with some of the most absurd jokes you're ever going to hear. I'm going to read you a couple of them. And then we're going to do a little magic trick with this. Okay, here's a good one. One book said to the other, "Can you help me out? I'm really in a bind." I got the best sound guy. Oh! And then the other book replied, "Don't worry, I have you covered." As it was, okay, we won't tell any more jokes, but what we will do is we're going to choose a page from this book, and to make sure this is fair, I'm not going to choose the person who chooses the page. We're going to let this ball choose, and I'm going to let you throw the ball to someone. Just throw the ball to anyone you like. Right over here. This was a fair choice. I mean, I didn't know it was going to go over this way. It could have gone over that way. What's your name? Carly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Carly. Everyone say hi, Carly. I'll take the ball. We might need that later. Carly, you're going to choose a page from the book, but don't worry, I won't make you look at a joke. You're just going to look at one word on that page. I'll flip through the pages, just say stop anytime you like. Right here, are you happy with this page? Or would you like to change your mind? She wants to change your mind. We'll do. I want to make sure you're happy first, Carly. Just say stop right here. You're happy here. Are you happy? Carly's happy. The bookmark goes in. Carly, you're going to look at the first word of the page. However, here's the thing. Every page in the book starts off with the title of the book. It says absurd jokes. Do not look at the word absurd. Otherwise, I would know what the word is. Look at the very first word, but don't let me know, don't tell anyone else. Make sure you can see what it is. Can you see? It's a little dim over here, but can you see? If I ask you later, you'll be able to tell us? You may hold on to the book. Ladies and gentlemen, inside of my pocket, I have a prediction of the word that I thought Carly was going to say. Carly, is it possible that the piece of paper in my pocket with a word written down, is it possible that that is your word?
No.
It's possible, right?
Right.
All right, Carly, as soon as you say your word, I'm going to take the piece of paper out of my pocket, open it up, and show everyone. Carly, what is your word? Eat. Is that what you said? Eat. On this, inside this pocket dictionary, there is a piece of paper. And on that piece of paper, well, there's several words. However, there's one particular word. What does that say, Carly?
Eat.
Give her a nice big hand. Do it again, they say. Well, I'm sorry, I can't do this again. There is a rule of magic, never do the same trick twice. However, we are going to talk about this for just a moment. I know you were probably thinking that it was going to be one piece of paper and one word written on that paper. Now, what I said was true. I said I had a prediction, a piece of paper with a word written. I just have several pieces of paper and several words. I didn't lie. The problem is the problem of communication, the illusion that it's taken place. What I said was true, but the way you interpreted my words were a little different, right? But for those of you who thought it was going to be one piece of paper with one word, if you look at the very back of the book, there's a little piece of paper. On one side, there's a picture of me. I didn't draw it. On the other side, there is a word. Carly, what was your word again? Eat. Carly, take a look. Carly, does that say eat?
Yes.
You may keep the book and the card as a souvenir. Big hand for Carly. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I have been practicing magic now for well over 20 years. And what I've come to understand is what makes for a successful magic show has less to do with things like card tricks, making things disappear, but instead it has much more to do with becoming an expert of managing surprises. Being able to enter an ever-changing environment where anything and everything could go wrong, and in fact it usually does go wrong, and yet even still, being able to arrive at a successful outcome. And it's this idea that we're going to talk about today. We're going to unpack 3 positivity principles and practices that we can use to create positive outcomes regardless of the circumstances that we get into. And these 3 big ideas are VCR. It's vision, confidence, and resilience. Now, we've heard these words before. We've heard about vision, we've heard about confidence, we've heard about resilience. But the way we're going to talk about it is slightly different than you might have read in the pocket dictionary. Vision is important because it helps us know the game that we're going to be playing. Confidence is important because it helps us get into that game. And then resilience is important because it helps us not only stay in the game, but it helps us go the distance so we can celebrate success. A number of years ago, I was invited to be a guest judge at a talent show. Have any of you ever been in a talent show before? Several of us have. Has anyone ever judged a talent show here? Perhaps some of you have. I was both excited and nervous about this. And I was excited because I love watching talented people do what they do best. It just inspires me. But I was nervous about this because I'm a horrible critic. I'm the type of person who can find something that's 99% terrible and find the 1% of it that's actually good and then give it 100% encouragement. This is a great skill to have if you're a teacher or a coach or a mentor. Horrible skill to have if you're a talent show judge. So I was nervous and excited about this. But here's the thing. My gut instinct does know a horrible act when I see it. And taking that opportunity to sort of quantify my emotions, to quantify my feelings, it sort of gave me an opportunity to step back and get into my more rational, logical mindset. So that's what we're going to do now with all of you in the areas of vision, confidence, and resilience. You're going to rate yourselves. A simple scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is consistently in need of a lot of work, 5 is consistently amazing, and then 2, 3, or 4 is somewhere in the middle. I'm going to give you 15 seconds as soon as the music starts. All right, and that is time. So you should all have a number associated with each of these areas of vision, confidence, and resilience. As we move forward through the rest of this presentation, I'm going to encourage you to keep this question in mind. What is it going to take for you to increase your score by just 1 point? What is it going to take to increase by just 1 point? And with that in mind, we're going to dive right into vision. 2 people caught the ball earlier. There was someone over here that caught the ball, but someone over here caught the ball too. Who caught the ball over here? What's your name? Lauren? We've never met before, right? All you know is you caught the ball, and now you're going to help us talk about vision. Give Lauren a nice big hand. Come right over here, Lauren. You look so excited. Lauren, where are you from?
Arlington.
Arlington. You came all the way from Arlington. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren, here's what's going to happen. You're going to write down something for me. You're going to write down 1 word in this little blank spot right there. Here's the little magic marker. You're going to write down a word, a positive word that describes you. But don't let me see what it is, and don't let anyone else see. You're going to keep this secret for now. So as soon as you write it down, just put it face down. So for those of you who are sitting around Lauren, you probably know Lauren, right? Yeah? Yeah, someone says no, someone says yeah. So you will probably have a good chance of perhaps figuring out what this word is. Now, of course, we're narrowing down the possibilities. I said it had to be a positive word. We're focusing on the positive, not focusing on the negative. Oh, and Lauren's done. Perfect. Do you know Morse code? I don't know. If it's possible. All right, the card's going back inside. It's for verification later. You'll be able to tell us, even if you forgot what the word is, even if you tried to lie to me and say it was some other word, we can go back to it and you can tell what it is, right? Yep. Lauren, I'm going to get into your head now. I'm going to try and figure out what this word is. Because vision is all about communication. It's all about seeing more than other people can see. So Lauren, you're from Arlington. Do you have any hobbies?
I'm a teacher.
You're a teacher, so you're an encourager. Yeah, you can applaud for that. So you're a teacher I'm starting to get this. It's like a tingling sensation in my chest. Are you feeling that too?
A little bit. I'm nervous.
Might be nerves, or maybe it was dinner. I'm not sure. I'm just going to say what it is, what I think it is, and you just tell us. I'm just going to say organized.
That's my word.
It was organized? We can, of course, verify to make sure she's not just being nice. Let's see. Organize. Give Lauren a nice big hand. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for Vision. Do it again, he says. After the presentation, I'll do it again just for you. The idea of vision. Vision is all about being able to see more than others can see, even more than dreamers can see. Now, everyone has a dream, right? Who has a dream? By a show of hands. Most everyone has a dream. If your hands are up, perhaps what you have is not a dream, but perhaps you have something better, which is a vision. You see, dreaming is important. It allows us to see things not just for how they are and for how they always have been, but for how they could be. But the same thing that's a benefit for dreamers can be a drawback if they're not careful. After all, what's the point of seeing the bigger picture of things if we're not able to identify and articulate the details to make those dreams a reality? One of my favorite quotes comes from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he says that the difference between a dreamer and a visionary is that a dreamer has their eyes closed, while a visionary has their eyes open. So the idea is that when a visionary comes down out of the clouds, they're able to identify the details to make a dream a reality. They're able to communicate those ideas to others so that they can buy into the dream as well. And when I was a little boy, my biggest, most wildest dream, my dream was to one day become a magician. And from that story I told you earlier, the first part of that story was true. 12 years old, I did my very first magic show. The rest of that trick was just absurd. But that was true. When I was 12 years old, I achieved that dream that I had. When I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I wanted to be a magician. I was able to check it off because I performed my first magic show. I didn't realize it at the time when I was just a kid. But it was no longer a dream once I got into the game, once I jumped into action to make that dream a reality. Because as soon as you jump into action, you start stimulating your interests, you start stimulating your talents. And when you do that, it's no longer just a dream, but you have turned it into a vision. I wrote a book recently called Are You Positive? And positive is an acronym for the 8 steps that I've identified for thinking, being, and staying positive. And step number 3, for the S in positive, stands for stimulate your passions. Experts often say that we're supposed to focus on our passions, focus on our interests, focus on our talents. And this is good advice because there's been lots of studies done. We don't even really need the studies to say this, but studies have indicated that when we focus on our talents and our interests and our passions, we become more engaged with the work that we're doing. It actually said that 70% of today's workforce becomes engaged magically when they focus on their passions. So when we think about passions, my definition is the intersection of our talents and our interests. So the talents, of course, are the things that we do better than most people with little to no effort, while our interests are the things that we think about even when we should be thinking about other things. When we combine these two things together, bippity-boppity-boo, we get passion. So stimulating our passions, it gets us even further than just engaging in our passions. Because engaging in our passions gets us started, but stimulating, jumping in and diving in, that gets us even further because all of a sudden it highlights this gap between what we want to do and what we're currently capable of doing. It highlights the gap between what we know and what we need to know to turn that dream into reality. So this means that we're going to have to perhaps dive into areas that are not our natural interests. We might even have to dive into things that are our weaknesses, perhaps. There was a book that was recently published called High Performance Habits by a man named Brendan Burchard. And in it, he says that a Super Bowl winning quarterback doesn't just know how to throw a ball, He has to master mental toughness, nutrition, self-discipline, contract negotiation, brand building, and so on. Someone who reaches high performance in any career must have competence in many of the areas that touch that career. So the difference between someone who just knows how to throw a ball versus someone who knows how to celebrate the success of a Super Bowl win is that one person got down out of the clouds, they opened their eyes, they did everything they had to stimulate their passions to achieve success. Most everyone has a dream. Not everyone turns that dream into a vision, and not everyone who has a vision is able to go the distance to celebrate success. So why is that? I've identified 4 what I like to call stumbling stones. These are things that hold us back from achieving success, and I face personally a few of these, so perhaps you have as well. The first stumbling stone is called, some people have been discouraged by others. Some of the most toxic people in our lives are people who tell us every reason why we shouldn't do something. But the truth is, if we are stimulating our passions, if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, then you better believe that's what we're supposed to be doing. So one way to handle discouragement from others is to find out what their authority is. What's their authority in this area? Just any dream. Let's say you want to be a librarian. Your dream, your vision is to become a librarian. When this other person is telling you, no, you don't want to be a librarian, man. It's too quiet, man. I don't know. What's their authority? Are they a librarian? Do they know a librarian? Why are they trying to discourage you? Now, the other way to deal with a discourager is to find out what they stand to lose if you succeed. Sometimes people are trying to discourage us just because they would end up losing something from you. So that's number 1. Number 2, some people have been hurt by past disappointment. Now this is a strong one. This is a really big one. Because personally, I won't get into the whole story, but I have been engaged to be married twice. Actually only married once. And when I did get married, I was promptly divorced. So,
Was it the same girl?
I know.
Was it because you were a magician?
And maybe it was because I was a magician. I made her disappear. Who knows? That magic can happen anytime. But what I do know from this experience is I am a stronger person because of it. So I no longer see these things as true disappointments, but I actually see them as opportunities to become stronger. Number 3, some people settle for average. One of my favorite quotes comes from the author Maureen Dowd. She says, "The minute that we settle for less than we deserve is the moment that we get less than we even settled for." That is deep. So that's one of mine. I know in my past I've been a settler, but let's go to number 4. This is the last one. Some people lack confidence. And this brings us to our next idea in our vision, confidence, and resilience discussion. So before we get to confidence in earnest, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a little moment. You're all going to turn to the person next to you. But here's the thing, if you turn to someone next to you, and they turn to the person on the other side of them, here's what you do. You turn to the person on the other side of you. But here's the thing, what if they turn to someone else too? Well, here's what you do. You just join their little group. Groups of 2, groups of 3, here's what you're going to be discussing. You're going to be discussing with each other what your vision is. You're going to be talking about what your vision is, what's working, what's not working. You'll be talking about, are you more a dreamer or are you a visionary? You'll be talking about what your dreams and goals are. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. As soon as the music starts, when it stops, we're going to stop. You folks did a wonderful job, wonderful job. What I like about this exercise is you get to talk to each other about your vision is, number one, oftentimes, even if you're talking to someone that you know already, you're talking about things perhaps that you don't normally talk to them about. If you happen to turn next to a stranger, you're talking to a complete stranger about these things. So it's a great way to get a wider perspective on things. All right, we've talked about vision. What's our next idea, our next big idea? You folks have been paying attention. I appreciate it. Give yourselves a big hand. All right, to talk about confidence, everyone stand up. Everyone stand up. Everyone shake out your hand. Shake out your hand. Shake, 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 shake. All right, if you all do it, no one looks silly. Everyone arms out in front of you. Everyone thumbs down, cross your arms, lock your hands together, and stretch. Everyone stretch. If it hurts, you're doing it right. Arms down. Shake your hands out again. Shake, 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 shake. Shake, 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 shake. Everyone's shaking, everyone's shaking. We're going to do the same thing, only different this time. Same thing, only different. Arms out. Thumbs down. Cross your arms, lock your hands, and then keep your elbows up though. Keep your elbows up just like this. You're going to twist your wrists just like this. And just over, you're going to twist your wrists. So your thumbs point up in the air, just like this. If you're able to get up, give yourselves a nice big hand. And everyone take a seat. Very nice job. And we have another card trick now. We have another card trick. Do we have any card players in the audience? I see someone immediately raise up their hands. What's your name?
It's Neha.
Say it again. Neha. Neha. Ladies and gentlemen, Neha is going to help us out. You might want to put the camera down. Neha is going to select a playing card from the deck of cards. You may come right this way. Now, Neha, actually, before we begin, I should have asked you this earlier. Do you have a good imagination?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I take this as you are confident in your imagination. Is that true? Sure. Like, yeah, sure. Yeah. I like you, Neha. Neha, here's what's going to happen. You're going to pretend that I have a deck of cards. Use your imagination and pretend that I have a deck of cards. Can you see the deck of cards? You have a wonderful imagination. Neha, I'm going to just shuffle the cards. Wherever you say stop, that's going to become your card. So wherever you say stop, you'll say stop. I'll show you the card. I'll show the people around you. We'll show the camera the card. Are you ready? All right, just say stop at any point. Right there, take a look. Do not tell me what it is. I'll show the camera as well so everyone can see. Show the people around you. Now notice, at no time do my hands leave my arms. Right? At no time. Hold out your hand, please. Neha. Hold on to the cards. Put your other hand on top so they don't fall. Neha, inside my briefcase, which is on the stage, I've been working out. Planet Fitness, here I come. Neha! Giant size playing card. Everyone go. Neha, I use a giant size card because this is kind of a big deal. It's an absurd joke. Neha, is it possible that the card that you were just thinking of now is on this card? Yes or no? Oh, wait a second. I want to make sure everyone can hear what you just said. What did you just say?
No, I said probably.
Oh, you said, I thought you said probably not. You say it probably is because you know this is a magic show, so it's highly likely. Neha, I'm going to show you. Please tell us in a loud voice, yes or no. Is your card on here?
Yeah, it's on there.
Yes, it's on there. She said yes. Ladies and gentlemen, give Neha a nice big hand. Hold your horses, Neha. Hold your horses. Neha, here's the thing. You notice that she hesitated to give me the answer. I was hoping you could find it a little quicker to not give away, but I'll let them in on the secret. Her card is on this card because all 52 cards are on this card. That is a thank you, sir. Thank you. It's easy to be confident. It's easy to be confident when there's no possible way to fail. Think about it. If we want to celebrate success and we want to be confident about it, we just have to figure out a way to prepare ourselves to have success ensured. But here's the thing. This is partially a lie. There is a way to fail in this, Neha. You know how that is?
No, I don't know.
No, I don't know. Here's how it happens, Neha. It would not have worked if you didn't see one of these cards. What card did you see? What was your card? The two, that one right there. It would not have worked if you didn't see the two of hearts. How many twos are in the deck of cards? There's 4 twos, right? Turn the deck face up. Count how many twos you find.
There's no twos.
There's no twos. Let me see that deck. Because every card in the deck is blank. Let's give Neha a nice big hand. You did a wonderful job. You did a wonderful job, Neha. Thank you so much for your help. Oh, Neha, before you go, I do have a parting gift for you. I'm not going to do it again. You're a copy of my book. Thank you so much, Neha. One more big hand for Neha. It's easy to be confident when there's no way that we can fail. There was a study recently done at the University of Wisconsin. And again, you don't even need studies for this kind of stuff, but they threw money at this, so we're going to talk about it. They found that people who exhibit greater levels of confidence are more willing to take on risks, and they're also better able to adapt to their circumstances. And this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about managing surprises, becoming experts at managing surprises so we can celebrate success. So it's easy to be confident when we pre-planned ahead, when we thought about all the different ways that things could go wrong, because things do often go wrong, right? The idea with being confident is being able to have a successful outcome even when those things come about. So we have to reflect and think about all the different ways things could go wrong. I learned this the hard way. This was, about 12 years ago. I decided to go on a bicycle ride. Hold your horses. This wasn't just any bicycle ride, though. I was going to ride my bicycle from my home state of Massachusetts to California. That's absurd. But here's the thing. On the 3rd day of this bicycle ride, I had only made it as far as Connecticut. Now it's really, if you know geography at all, Connecticut, it was only about a 40-mile ride from where I started. And it took me, no, it's not good. I like the commentary we're having over here. You're right, it was not good. And when I made it to Connecticut, I made a very important decision that would change my life forever. No, I didn't get a car. that certainly would have made it easier, though. I decided to give up. I decided I wanted to go home. Oh, thank you. Here's to settling for average. Just to be clear, that was my stumbling stone, settle for average. By definition, though, the average person is average, right? Most people are average. But here's the thing. When I decided to give up, the reason I gave up was because I was woefully unprepared. First of all, it was November. Terrible time of year to go on a cross-country bicycle ride. So that was number one. Number two that was holding me back was I was in horrible shape. I I hadn't actually been on a bicycle since I was a little kid. So I was horribly unprepared. Now sure, I was willing to take on risks, but my lack of preparation made me unable to adapt to my circumstances. So that's how I learned, certainly the hard way, that we really have to become more prepared. In this experience for me, it highlighted a gap. The gap between what I wanted to do and what I was at that time currently able to do. And I've compiled a list of a number of these gaps. If any of you have ever traveled by train, you'll probably recognize the sign, "Watch the Gap." In London, they call it "Mind the Gap." But the idea is that if you're not watching for the gap, you're going to trip over the gap, you're not going to get on that train, and you're not going to be able to get to where you want to go in life. Now, what they don't tell us is we should be watching out for these gaps in our everyday lives as well. Gaps that keep us from getting to where we want to go. And when we face these gaps, it can be disheartening, but sometimes we're not even aware that these gaps exist. Sometimes we don't know that there's anything holding us back. Like for me, for years, I didn't know my gap was settling for average until it was glaringly obvious. But sometimes we are completely aware that these gaps exist, and yet we choose to do nothing about it. So I'm going to list off these 8 gaps, and just listen carefully. And if any of these pop out at you, just sort of take note of them. The first gap, number 1, the assumption gap. This is the gap that says, oh, I just assume I'm automatically going to be able to grow and develop and to be able to do the things that I want to do in life. This is the assumption gap. Number 2, the knowledge gap. This is the one that says that I don't need, or excuse me, it says I don't know what I need to do to better my life. The knowledge gap. Number 3 is the timing gap. This is the one that says, oh, it's just not the right time. I have to do this first, or I have to, next year I'll do it, next year will be perfect. The timing gap, it's just not the right time. Number 4, the mistake gap. A lot of my friends have this one. This is the one that says, I'm afraid of making mistakes. I'm afraid of looking like a failure or a fool. That's the mistake gap. Number 5 is the perfection gap. This is the one that says I have to already be perfect before I begin. This is the one, I know lots of people who have the perfection gap as their gap, and this one always gets me because for one, you are never perfect when you start. You really, first you have to start, and then you perfect it, right? Something actually has to be started before you can perfect something. But also think about this, nothing is truly ever perfect. There's always ways that we can improve. So the perfection gap is really a fallacy. That's just, it really gets me. Number 6 is the inspiration gap. This one is mine. I just don't feel like doing it. I'm just not in the mood. I'm just gonna go home and take a nap. That's you, sir? I see someone pointing at themselves. See other people pointing at themselves too. That's a big one. Number 7, the comparison gap. Others are better than I am, so why bother trying? At least we're even now, because you're my hero too. People are fun, by the way. Okay, number 8, the expectation gap. I thought it was going to be easier than this. The expectation gap. What does your gap look like? I saw some of you calling yourselves out on some of these gaps. So my question is, can you get over these gaps? Or perhaps, no, he says. Perhaps the better question, the better quality question is how? How can you get over these gaps? These two questions sound very similar, can you and how can you, but they have an inherent difference. The question, can you, has inherent doubt. It impedes your progress before you even get started. The question, how can you? Well, that assumes that there is a way. We just need to find that way. How many of you like puzzles? You see lots of hands going up. Personally, I hate puzzles. Can't stand them. And the reason I don't like puzzles is I don't have a rational bone in my body. I am one of those folks that my problem is I'm an emotional being experiencing a rational world. That's why I had to study philosophy in college, so I can learn how to think. But there was this one particular puzzle that I always avoided when I was a little boy. I heard someone say it, that's right. This thing was below my dignity as a human person for so long. The Rubik's Cube. Now, I was actually walking around the conference a little earlier and I saw some people playing with the Rubik's Cube. So I know some of you are at least interested in this puzzle. Has anyone actually been able to solve this? Several of us have. I see someone, everyone's pointing at one person. Several of you have. All right, hands down. All right, I am curious what your best time is in solving the cube. I know the world's record is like about 5 seconds. How long? How fast can you solve it? How fast? 10 seconds? My best time, for the longest time, my best time was just about 31 years. It took me 31 years. That was my best time for a while. I did figure out how to solve the cube a little faster than that. And the reason I decided to go back to the Rubik's Cube after years and years of avoiding it is I realized where one of my gaps were. I realized that one of my gaps was that just because something is difficult, that doesn't mean it's any less of a worthy endeavor for me. But here's the thing, when we decide we want to do something big, like for me, solving the Rubik's Cube was a big deal, I asked the question, can I do it? The answer is no. But then I asked the question, how? Here's how I did it. When we want to do anything big, we don't just dive right into it. If we want to become a writer, we don't just start off writing a 1,000-page novel. If we want to become a runner, we don't just start off by running a marathon. If we want to become a bicyclist, we don't start off by riding 3,000 miles across the country. That would be absurd. Who would do such a thing? Okay, maybe I tried that. Here's the idea. We have to start small. Isn't this adorable? This is a regulation style cube, only in adorable size. And I saw someone over here had their hand up that said that they do know how to solve this. I don't actually want you to solve this, but what I want you to do is just make sure the colors are all mixed up. What's your name? Austin. Ladies and gentlemen, give Austin a nice big hand. Austin, you may take the cube, just give it a little mix. With every turn that you make, you've probably heard this before, but with every turn of the cube, you're making one of the 43 quintillion different color combinations that are possible with the cube. So with every turn that Austin makes, he's making one of those 43 quintillion. That's 43 with a number with 18 zeros after it. If we had a regulation size cube for every possible turn, it would fill the entire Earth's surface, and this is true because I Googled it. It would fill the entire Earth's surface 275 times. That's a lot of cubes. Austin, is the cube mixed? Oh, are you actually solving it? Don't solve it, just sort of mix up all the parts. We'll give him a nice big mix. All right, Austin, thank you. Let's give Austin a nice big hand. Thank you very much for helping out. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to show you my way of solving the Rubik's Cube, which is a little different than most people solve the cube, but it's a little different. I'm not going to take it apart. We're going to time and see how long it takes. Austin, do you have a watch with a second hand? You're going to time and see how long it takes me to solve the cube. As soon as you say go, I'm going to start. When I say stop, you stop and tell us how much time has gone by. Are you ready, Austin? All right, Austin, I think one more. Okay, one more, I got it. All right, Austin, time. How far do we get? How much? 21? Seriously, I did this last week, 34 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, 21 seconds. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. What'd you say? It's well, seemingly, what's your name? Josh? I know Josh, it doesn't look solved. However, the typical way to solve the cube is to put like all the yellows on one side, all the blues, all the orange. That's what Evelyn does. That's just one of the 43 quintillion different ways to solve it. So since I already know how to solve it, what I do is I go the extra mile. I don't want to be average, right? That's my gap. I don't want to be average. So I'm going to go the extra mile and do it a little bit differently. I decide on a new color combination and solve it for that. And this is the one I decided on tonight. Isn't that amazing, Josh? Thank you very much. I appreciate, you believe me, right? Oh, okay. Okay, so she's choosing to believe me. Now here's the thing. What I said, it's true, but it's also partially a lie. You see, I didn't decide on this color combination. You see, I had Austin decide for me. If you look closely, every side of the cube matches. Who said fake news? And the top and the bottom as well. Give Austin a nice big hand. So remember, by asking the question, can I solve the cube? For 31 years, the answer was no. I can't solve the cube. But by asking the different quality of question, how can I came up with a much more interesting solution to the problem. One more big hand for Austin. I'm not going to do it again. Do it again. I'll see you after the presentation. All right, we have talked about vision. We have talked about confidence. What's the last big idea? What's the last big idea? Now, don't say it all at once now. All right, this is our last big idea, and really, I think this is the most important of all, because vision is important, confidence is important, but without resilience, none of this will have ever mattered. Because resilience, for our purposes, it's creative persistence. And we say creative persistence because the creativity is going to give us the reflection that we need. Because just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, well, that's just going to drive us crazy. To help us not go crazy, what we're going to do is we're going to remember resilience, which reminds us that the best teacher in the world is reflective experience. Because really, to practice resilience, it means to when life gives us things that we don't like, when life catches us by surprise, when we find ourselves in hot water, there's really only one of three ways that we can respond. We can respond either as a carrot, we can respond like an egg, or we could be a coffee bean. Josh, bear with me. I know this sounds absurd. Coffee bean is the right answer, by the way. You get 10 points for Gryffindor. Very nice. You see, here's what happens when a carrot gets into hot water, it becomes soft, it becomes mushy, it becomes weak. When an egg gets in hot water, it becomes hardened. But when a coffee bean gets in hot water, something amazing happens. When we get coffee, that's right. Coffee makes everything better. That's the right answer. So the question becomes, when you find yourself in times of trouble, do you become soft and weak? Do you lose your strength? Yes, she says. Or do you become hardened and you just become strong, you just blindly keep doing everything that you've been doing even when you should be reflecting and making changes? Oh, yes. Or are you resilient, like the coffee bean? And even when life gives you lemons, actually that does bring up a very good point. When life gives you lemons, what do? That's right, we make lemonade. And here's the thing, that's the right answer. I had a friend in high school, he was a bit of a pessimist. He would say, if life gives you lemons, just get a new life. Just cut your losses, it's time to move on. I never listened to my friend Paul. I listened to the coffee bean. And the thing is, in order to do this, it's going to take a lot of focus. We all know how easy it is to lose focus. We all know how easy it is. We may think we want to do something, we may have a dream, we've turned it into a vision, and we're confident of it, but it's so easy to lose focus. There's a game that con artists play that uses 3 cups and a ball, and you're supposed to follow where the ball goes. We never find the ball because we lose focus. We think it's because there's too many cups. Really, even if there was just 1 cup, we still wouldn't be able to do it. Let me show you what I mean. And let's see, let's go over yonder way. Right over here, let's go over this way this time. Josh, take a look at the cup. All right, let's go over here. Can you catch the ball? As he drops the ball. You got the ball. All right, Josh, is anything inside the cup?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right, and who got the ball? What's your name? Jayla? Now, if the ball happens to look like a cat's toy, I just want you to let you know it's purely coincidental. All right, so that's a regular ball that you might find a cat playing with, right? Jayla, thank you very much for your help. All right, let's go back to Josh. Now, Josh, if the cup happens to look like a toothbrush holder that you might find in a Motel 6, purely coincidental. Don't worry, I washed it out. The ball is going inside the cup. You can verify, is the ball inside the cup? All right, perfect. Here's what's going to happen now. The ball wants to be inside the cup, but that's not where the ball is going to start. The ball is going to start off inside my pocket. This is the game. The ball starts off inside my pocket. I'm going to sneak the ball out of my pocket and get it back underneath the cup without any of you seeing, because it's so easy to lose focus. Josh, watch close. The ball starts off inside my pocket. No funny business. And the ball goes back inside the cup. Would you like to see that again? What? He says, what? Now, every time I do this, people always say, yeah, they say do it again, right? But remember, I can't do this again. Why can't I do it again? What did you just say? Oh, can I do it 3 times? Oh, he wants me to do it 3 times. Oh, that's a very innovative answer. I just got that. Don't do it again, do it 3 times, because you're not doing it twice, you're doing it 3 times. I like the way, someone give him a high five. That's the kind of thinking that we need here at Texas TSA. All right, I am going to do this again, but this time I'm going to change. Remember, this whole thing is about managing surprises. If I do it again, you're going to see what's going on. You have a better chance of figuring out. So I'm going to do, It's, managing surprises when life gives us lemons, be able to manage it anyway. I'm going to do this again, but this time a little bit differently. The ball starts off inside my pocket. Josh, did you see it that time? Yes, you saw it? Because when life gives us lemons, what do we do? Make lemonade. Give Josh a nice big hand. Thank you, Josh. Thank you. All right. Managing surprises. Celebrating success. There's a game that was introduced in a book written in 1913. The book is called Pollyanna. The game is called The Glad Game. And in the story, the way it goes is the main character tried to figure out a way to be glad about every situation. And I have my own sort of version of this game that I invented on my own. I was on tour this one time with a band on our way through Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was the band's opening act, by the way. On our way through Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I went outside of the club, and just as I got outside, these two street thugs approached me. And I knew they were street thugs because they mugged me. That's how you know that they're street thugs. So after the street thugs scampered off with my wallet, I went back inside the club just in time to be told it was time to start the show. So I walk out on stage just like I did tonight, and I said, I was just mugged outside, and everyone just laughed. They thought it was part of the show. I said, no, it's terrible to be here. I don't want to be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania anymore. I want to go home. But here's the thing. I had never read the book written in 1913 called Pollyanna. I had never read that book, but I invented my own version of the Glad Game that day in Pittsburgh. I didn't want to have that experience ruin my day. I didn't want it to ruin the trip, so I tried something. I found a way to be glad about the situation. And I realized that the statement, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, it's not accurate. The more correct statement is sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Ah, whoa, deep. Because I realized that I had learned something that day in Pittsburgh. I realized the true meaning of the name Pittsburgh Steelers. Because they stole from me. It's an absurd joke. So resilience is going to not just keep us in the game. Confidence gets us in the game. Vision helps us know what our game is, but resilience keeps us in the game, and it keeps us going to go the distance to celebrate success. And that brings us to the end of these three ideas. Did we all learn something today? Was this a valuable use of your time, yes? I got some yeses, some no's. Here's what's going to happen. Last time you're going to turn to your partners. Same groups. This is your last time talking to them in this context. You're going to talk about what your next step is moving forward. You're going to talk about one thing that you're going to do to plus one. Remember, we're plus one-ing the way that we rated ourselves earlier. As soon as the music starts, we're going to start. When the music ends, we will end. Everyone ready? Lots of fantastic answers. I walked around a little bit. I heard from some of you about what you're going to do to plus one. Hey, good to see you. Before we go, I have just a couple little announcements, and I have one final little magic trick for you to send us off. The first thing I want to give you folks is my goal has been to engage, empower, and encourage you to excel. And the first three ones I can do, I can engage you with the magic, I can empower you with these tools and principles, and I can encourage you to use them. But the last part, the excelling part, that is completely up to you. That's why I was asking you, what can you do to plus one? Whatever you rated yourself earlier in the areas of, what are the three ideas? Vision. There we go, the VCR, right? What can you do to +1 so that you can excel? That is completely up to you. But to continue encouraging you and empowering you, I have a resource for you. You can go to jonascain.com, jonascain.net, that's another website. jonascain.net/Texas TSA. In a few days, you're going to see the video of this presentation up on that website. So if there's anything that you heard that you don't quite remember, you can go back and watch it and rewatch it. You're also going to find some downloads from the handout, some additional resources that you can download on that website. Also on that webpage, you're going to find an evaluation form to let me know what you thought of the presentation. Anyone who fills out that form is going to get a digital copy of the book, Are You Positive? Absolutely free. So if you go to that website, I know you're excited. Are you excited? Are you positive? So be sure to go to that website. If you go to that website now, you'll see all that stuff there, just not the video, because I don't have the video yet. So the last thing I'm going to give you folks is this one little last piece of encouragement. We've talked about vision, knowing what our game is. We've talked about confidence, getting into the game. We've talked about resilience, going the distance to achieve success. You are going to face gaps. You are going to face stumbling stones. You are going to face the lemons of life. My encouragement for you is whatever your lemon happens to be, the Rubik's Cube's not inside. That would be a neat trick though. Next time it will be. Whatever your lemon is, whatever is holding you back, I encourage you to face it head on. Because you'll find in there something that's been waiting for you. In this case, it's a rolled up playing card. Someone chose a playing card earlier. Are they still here? Who chose the card? Who chose the card? She's gone now. Do you remember what the card was? It was the 3 of hearts? Oh, the 2 of hearts. Oh, thank goodness. Because this is the 2 of hearts. You've been a wonderful audience. My name is Jonas Cain.